Hey there, this is Andrew from Heroic Media. I wanted to record a quick video just going over something that's actually really super duper important as far as your business is concerned. So, main thing that I'm going to go over in this video is something called cost per acquisition. Okay, so this is when it comes to my services, a lot of my services are pay per lead or just performance based. Okay, so cost per acquisition is just what it sounds like. We're figuring out the cost for every acquisition of whatever it is you're looking for. Okay, so acquisition is just getting something. So it could be cost per lead, it could be cost per acquiring a customer. And then the acquiring part is just figuring out at what level you're acquiring something. Okay, so if I just go into an example here, if I exit out here, I'm in Calgary, but I was just looking at some different options here and just looking at competitors' ads for a client of mine. But if I'm going to Edmonton Deck Builders, okay, they need to pay a cost for each of these ads. And every time that I click on here, that's going to be a cost per click. So I open up a notepad just so we can sort of follow along here. I put this notepad on the right screen so you guys can actually see it. If I bring this in and try to make this a little smaller, if I take a look at this here, okay? So every time someone clicks on here, that's my cost per click, okay? Pretty simple. That'll also be abbreviated as CPC. Okay, I apologize for the keyboard noise. My microphone's right in front of my keyboard, but that's my cost per click. Now, you can kind of look at optimizing this and trying to get the lowest cost per click you can possibly get, right? However, you always have to consider that in terms of the quality of the person that you're bringing to your business. These guys, I can guarantee you, are paying more cost per click. Every time someone clicks on here, it costs more for them than it does for, this is a bad example, but in many advertisements, they're actually going to have 3, 4, 5 ads on here. Excuse me. So the higher you are in here, the higher that cost per click is going to be. However, by having a higher cost per click, you're going to get more people, right? You're also going to tend to get a higher quality of person, right? Because you are at that top of the list, and then you're going to be getting them clicking a little bit more quicker than, or a little bit more quickly than they would on other ads. Okay, so you have your cost per click. Now you also have to consider, of course, things like the quality of person you're bringing in. So Edmonton Deck Builders, that's relatively generic, right? If I'm searching for an Edmonton Deck Builder, because it's a relatively big purchase, average maybe about 40K, right? Then looking up just generic Edmonton Deck Builders, I might not be looking at doing it right now. I might be looking at maybe getting it done this spring. I might be looking at it, a year out, right? So I'm paying a certain amount of money to get someone to click on here, and a large percentage of those people are going to look at the website, but they might not come back. They might not submit a form, anything like that immediately. Okay, so that's all figuring out your cost per click. Now, what we're trying to figure out in this example is really just what our cost per acquisition is. Okay, oh my God, acquisition. Cost per acquisition. Now, cost per acquisition, like I said, is CPA, and it's your cost of actually getting something. So if I was to click on this, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to mess up their or make them pay for anything more than they need to, but if I go to everythingexteriorstore.com, which is too long for me to type, I'm going to copy and paste that. Just go to there. If I go here, and assuming that's where this ad went, okay, it actually, if I hover over here and you looked at the bottom left, it goes to the About Us page, which is pretty interesting. So their ad goes directly to here, and this is their landing page. So let's think this through, right? They are paying probably a few bucks for that click, or maybe, $1.50, $2, depending on the competition in Edmonton. But I click on that ad and I get here, okay? I'm landing on this page. I've just looked for Edmonton Deck Builder. Now that's relatively generic as a term, as I said, but I come into here and what am I looking at? Just sort of like About Us. Do I really care about this kind of stuff, right? And then we give our customers the tools to make their home stand out. Like, what does that mean? Like, is this for me for DIYing a deck? Like, what is happening here? And then it's a contact us, quick online request for what? So what is it? Is like, I don't even know what this store is, right? Decking installers. So am I trying to buy materials from them and they install it for me, right? Like, I don't want to be critical. Maybe there is some kind of reasoning behind this, but first glance, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? This company has paid to get me onto their website. So I was looking for a deck build, or I'm probably looking for a quote or, a free estimate, something like that, something simple. I click on this ad and I get here and it lands me on the About Us this is super generic. Ideally, they'd have some kind of a free quote or estimate over here. But yeah, this isn't the cost per acquisition is like how many people are they gonna have to send through this link, right? If they have to send 100 people clicking on this, cost them $200, right? What percentage of those 100 people that clicked on here are gonna, become a customer, buy something from you, right? So let's say even if it's just 1%, if one person comes through, right, you basically spent $200 to get maybe a lead, okay? So if it was this submit a request, or if it was this phone call, right, I paid $200, I got one lead, right? Whether that pans out or not, who knows? But if you look at it in terms of cost per acquisition, it cost me $200 to get that one lead, right? Now you can segment this in a bunch of different ways. You can say phone lead, you could say, or, free estimate, right? And of course, free estimates, this is where you sort of get into your advertising, where you can target it to different parts of the city, different search terms people are looking at. So if it was Edmonton deck builders, right? Or if it was, what would it be? Composite deck builders in Edmonton, something like that, where it's a little bit more specific, right? And if that's right up your alley. If I got an ad like that, that was just Edmonton composite deck builders, something like that. And let's say that we did that, Edmonton composite deck builders, okay? And I think I have my ads actually blocked right now, but I'm gonna open that up for you. Look how nice I am. So now I get to see ads. Okay, so doesn't look like anyone's actually running any ads. So if I have my Edmonton composite deck builder, someone who's looking for a composite deck specifically, is probably a little bit further down that line as far as education and actually getting something done for themselves than someone who's just looking up Edmonton deck builders, right? So they're looking for someone who's specialized, where if I had an ad saying that we've been doing composite decks for the last 15 years, we provide the top, TimberTech, whatever decks there are, right? If I provide that specialized information, someone clicks on that ad, right? So I pay whatever my cost per click is. The competition is probably a little bit lower, right? So I'm probably going to get a lower cost. They come to my page, and instead of this generic about us, if it's a landing page that talks about composite decks, the benefits of them, why we're special, or what our unique selling proposition is, why we're better suited than other companies to set up and install these, showing some before and after, some examples of it, having a great landing page towards that, so that it makes it more likely for people to actually get a free estimate, which is just your call to action. So again, that is actually I haven't gone over that, your CTA, or actually if I follow the same thing, call to action, right, would be something simple, okay? So that's your CTA, and this would be, what would it be? So user-friendly proposition is how I would break it down. So making it just really easy and really simple, and then low risk, right? User-friendly, if I want to properly spell here. So if I give someone the option to get a free estimate or a free quote, if I offer 24/7 service, if I was a plumber or something like that, where they can just call, there's no obligation, blah blah blah, making it super easy so that people aren't worried that they're going to be hard sold or something like that. If I give a basic call to action that's really clear, rather than this, whatever the hell this is, like have questions, call, submit a request. Maybe I'm just not understanding what their business is, but making it super streamlined, super specific to what they're clicking on, right? The composite deck, they click on an ad exactly tailored towards composite decks, and then going to a landing page that covers specifically composite decks, has a really good call to action that just gets them a free quote with just a couple fields that they need to put in. Makes it super easy so that I'm acquiring more. So even if I did pay, $200 to get that many people in, if I then increase that from 1%, right? If I bring my acquisition percentage from 1% up to even just 3%, just to be conservative, right? Then suddenly I've put this $200 into a third, right? So that's now, do the math with me, about $66, right, per lead. Okay, so I've saved a whole bunch. And if you're on a fixed budget, right, then now you can triple the amount of leads you're getting if you're on a fixed budget, right? Or you can spend, what am I trying to say here? Or you can just spend more and then get more leads, right? It also might just be that there's only a certain number of clicks you can get. So if I can only get, 100 clicks per week or something like that, because there's just not a high enough number of people coming through, then this 1% to 3% change is huge, right? Because if I can only get one lead per day, that's not a lot, right? That's hard to sustain your business depending on, all your different costs and stuff. But if I can triple the amount of leads that I'm getting, right, that's a lot more that I can go through, because you're always going to have, this is just cost per lead, right? If we break this down again, so cost per acquisition can be a bunch of things, but if we call it CPL, we then have cost per lead, right? But if I want to look at cost per acquiring, let's say just a customer, right? So that lead is $66 a lead, right? Cost per lead, $66. But then that lead, something has to happen with it, right? So that might be, again, like a phone lead or free estimate or something like that. You're going to have a huge drop off in these, right? Where you're going to have to reach out to them. And my recommendation is really to reach out to them within 15 minutes, okay? Reach out within 15 minutes. Now, this is why it's important to manage your advertising, whether it's Google or Facebook, anything like that. So you're reaching out really quickly while they're still hot. If they were on your website and they submitted a request, something like that, that might just be that they were drinking their coffee in the morning. They looked out that back window and they saw their deck and they thought it looked kind of ratty and crappy and they wanted to replace it, right? That's sort of a motivation wave where they're feeling that emotion at that time. They're feeling that motivation to get something done. And if you're talking to them while they're still in that mind state, much better process to go through that than to wait, a day or wait several hours where they're not really in that mindset anymore, right? It might be later in the day where they're dealing with their kids or family stuff and they're super busy, they're eating, blah, 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 and they're no longer thinking about their deck, right? But if you reach them when they're still in that spot where they're dissatisfied with where they are, and then you can provide some solutions and sort of get them set up, organize an estimate or coming out there and helping them, then you're really setting yourself up a lot better than if you waited a whole long time, right? Even think about it with weight loss. If you're signing up for a personal trainer or joining a gym, if you're on a website and you sign up for like a three-day trial or something like that at a gym, if you're a gym and you follow up with that customer, set up a time for them to come in, it's way more likely that they'll actually come in. Because this is something that people don't consider. Just because someone's put in their information to become a lead or to deal with your services, even if they're free, redemption's actually something that's really important to manage. Even if you're a dentist, sorry, I'm giving a lot of examples here, but just from experience here, if you're a dentist and you have an advertisement, and you're promoting, let's just say here, maybe I'll write this down. So you're a dentist, right? And then you're offering an ad for free cleaning, right? Which is great. So you're offering an ad for free cleaning. You might do an ad and you might have a cost per lead of, let's do the same kind of numbers, okay? So let's say it's $200 a lead, right? For a free cleaning. Now, this is why you need to figure out your CPA and all these kind of things, but if you have $200 per lead and then you don't follow up with them, you don't set up a time, a lot of these people, even though they'll say that they've signed up for this free coupon, you might only have 50% of those people actually come in. So really, you're going to have a $400 cost per redemption. Cost per redemption. Does that make sense? I hope this makes sense. So you're going to have a $400 cost per redemption, and then it makes it a little bit harder for all of your other stuff, okay? So you have a $400 cost per redemption of people coming in, and if you say about, let's say an average like 20% of people who get that cleaning go on to other services, right? So this would then be called your cost per acquisition of a customer, right? So they've gotten their cleaning done, so that might turn into things like whitening. That might turn into things like veneers. That might turn to ongoing cleaning. Okay, so these are all just basically upsells that you'd be able to offer these customers. So you're paying obviously to be able to provide someone a service, so you're losing money on the front end, but if they're getting these additional services, as well as these are more like ongoing and just bundles of things, but also there's going to be referrals. If someone comes in and it's a mom who comes in and she gets her cleaning, she might then have 3 family members, like the husband and the 2 kids, right? So that might quadruple, if I can figure out how to spell here, that might quadruple whatever came in, right? So you have a $400 cost per redemption, but because that quadrupled into all these other services, right, into family deals, right? If you're providing a good service and you're really targeted and you give a good experience, that might also have a factor of 2 to 3 times through referrals, right? You see the power of this? So figuring out what your cost per acquisition or your cost per leads and all these kind of things, so that you can get the start of this funnel where even if it is $400 per redemption or getting something like that in here, then getting all this value out of it, you just have to focus on running your business properly, offering whatever people need. And then that's where we get into our next calculation, which is our customer lifetime value. So customer lifetime value. Okay, so CLTV, so C, if I want to baby you here, CLTV. Okay, so customer lifetime value. Where if I was a dentist and all I did was offer that cleaning, then it makes it a little bit harder to make money on this, right? Where I do my free cleaning, and then there's going to be a certain number of people who come in every 6 months or a year, and then, obviously things will change either way on that. So if I said average customer is going to come in an average of once a year to get their teeth cleaned, average, they're going to have one referral. So I'll basically be doubling this, where I have no idea how much a cleaning costs, but if I just said, I don't know, $400 a year, double that per person, $400 per person, that would be $800 because it's double because of referrals with referral. And then if we say on average, each person is going to get, one treatment per year, if we add an extra 200, 400, whatever it is, you have to do the numbers for your own industry. But if we said an extra 200, that's an extra $1,200 a year, right? And then if we say that each customer on average stays about 3 years, right? Then that's 3,600, that's $7,200, right? Now, obviously you're going to have different variable costs, but in the case of a dentist, you're running your business, you already have employees, you already have staff that's already there. They're going to have downtime, they're going to have time that you're already paying them for, right? So it's not really a variable cost on any of these customers coming in, it's just using whatever time they have available, okay? So obviously this is going to go down a little bit based on variable costs, and if you have to, get more whitening or whatever kind of stuff that concerns, or if you're building a deck, obviously you have different variable costs on that. But if you look at each of your customers being worth an average of $7,200 to you over 3 years, because that's how long they generally stay, and they refer somebody, then figuring out what your cost per acquisition is, where you can make money on it, where even if it costs you $400 per redemption, and let's say, you're only getting 20% of those, blah, blah, blah. If that costs like $1,000 per customer, but you're making $7,200 over 3 years, right? You see how the math starts working out here? Obviously, you're going to run into cash flow concerns, and you have to manage all that kind of stuff as far as running your business. But really just building up a moat where your cost per acquisition or buying leads, anything like that, where really you're spending time, money on your website, all those kind of things on your advertising. If you can just make this cost per lead stuff or the cost per acquisition less than your customer lifetime value, minus all your variable costs and everything like that, then all you do is just keep repeating that, and you basically have a license to print money. Okay, so we looked at this guy with the ads here. If I went back to the Edmonton Deck Builders, now they might make a bunch of money, like they might make average 40K or whatever for these decks, where this ad, even if this ad is kind of crap and the landing page isn't very good and the conversions are really low, they're making 40K on a deck. And even if with all this advertising, if they spend 10K in advertising, they only get one customer, right? Then that $40,000, even just for that one deck, it's worth it, right? Because you're quadrupling your money, right? Obviously minus all your variable costs and stuff, right? But if you can optimize these things, like your cost per lead by figuring out your landing page, your call to action, as well as just optimizing your lifetime value, where if you're a dentist, adding on these additional services, following up them on their birthdays, making sure they refer people to you, making sure that they bring in their families, that kind of stuff, as well as if you're a deck builder, right? You might be able to refer them to people who are building fences if that's something you offer or you have partnerships with where you can get a kickback, or you could set them up with carpet cleaning if you have partners who do that kind of stuff, right? So every customer you have can then be worth 2, 3, 4 times as much, right? And then you can just the more you can make on your customer lifetime value, the more you can spend on ads. And if you're this guy, you can be at the top where you're going to get the most clicks, you're going to get the most volume, where you can make more money, spend more on ads, spend more on your Google Maps, optimizing stuff in here, where you can also advertise, and you can also do things to get up in here with your organic work, which is SEO, just your search engine optimization, to show up higher on here. And then you can spend more money to get up here, where it just compounds, where basically the strategy that I recommend for businesses is that you're really good on this part, right? You're really focused and you're able to make a ton of money off of each of your customers or clients, obviously in an ethical way. But the more money you can make down here, the more you can afford to spend. And the more you can afford to spend, the higher you do up here, the more customers you get, and then it's just a snowball, right? Where if you're able to invest more in your advertising and your search engine optimization, then you're creating a moat around yourself and your business where your competitors can't get in, okay? So these guys, this Deck Pro, if they're really investing money in their SEO, you can get years and years ahead of your competitors where they can't compete, right? They're just so far ahead. They have so much credibility. They have so much SEO work done that as far as Google's concerned, they've won the game and no one can compete for years, right? They would have to do a ton of stuff that would just be way too cost intensive and way too time intensive that they can never compete, right? So that's my recommendation. Kill it with all this stuff. Make it so that you can spend as much as you possibly can, obviously keeping cash flow in mind, and then you've basically won the game, okay? So it is really an integrated thing where you have to have, like I said, your ads have to make sense for who you're targeting. Your website needs to make sense for what the ad was they clicked, right? So if I'm looking for a deck builder, I need to have this page focused on, Edmonton's best deck builder, giving some credibility, some before and afters, proof on that kind of stuff, just proof that this is the page that they're supposed to be landing on, right? And then also just having a good call to action so that you're not wasting the money that you spent on people clicking this ad. Now, something I'm not going to go over on this is going to be retargeting ads. It's again just something that optimizes your cost per lead, where everyone who's coming to this website, there's going to be a bunch of people who their mood changes or you weren't very clear on this website and whatever it is. Retargeting ads, all they really are, if I can find, actually I have ads blocked on pretty much everything just so I don't get distracted. But for most of your customers, if they're on Facebook or other websites, they're going to have ads popping up, and that could be you. If someone went to this Everything Exterior store looking for a Calgary deck builder, I can then retarget them, where if I go onto Facebook, I'll go into my personal Facebook here, which is a bad idea. Oh, I'm not even logged in. If I log in here and I unblock my ads, there we go. Sorry, I have plugins and everything where I block everything. But on Facebook, what will actually happen is you'll have ads here and you'll have ads in your newsfeed, right? And you can be in those ads targeting people who went to your website. So if they signed on and they went to Edmonton Deck Builders, they're obviously more qualified than just random people who are going around the internet, right? So you could do a generic ad to every random person, or you could present ads to someone who already went to your website, right? Where they might have gotten distracted, they might have just changed their mind right at the start and not put in their email. But if you remind them or just get in their face again, better chances that they're going to come back, okay? So that just makes it so that every time you do that, you're reminding them, your cost per lead is going to go down, right? Because you're getting more leads just by giving that little nudge. And yeah, I know I'm going a little bit on a rant here, but that's long story short. Cost per acquisition is how much you're going to pay to actually achieve something. And by putting everything through this filter, it makes decisions a lot easier to make, because it's no longer talking about, oh, I'm going to pay Heroic Media or some kind of agency or advertising medium $3,000 a month or $5,000 or $10,000 a month, and what am I getting? Is it working? Is it not, right? You can look at how many leads you're getting, what the kind of funnel or what the process is that they're going through, how much it's costing you to get an actual customer or a lead. Because a lot of these things, it's hard to track. When you pay $5,000 a month, but you're getting 50 leads, right, and specifically to email or phone, you figure out how much that costs and if it's worth it to you, right? Where if you're selling a $40,000 deck, or you're selling, those dental services, if you do the basic math, you figure out how much it's worth for you to pay money for these leads or the acquisition, and if it's less than your lifetime value of the customer and you have the cash flow for it, easy peasy. You just put it out of your mind, pay the money, even if it seems like a lot, you just pay the money, knowing that it's worth it, and then you just focus on other things and scaling it. Okay, so I'm Andrew from Heroic Media. I know that was a little bit of a rant, but it's a good video. So hopefully you found that valuable. If you do have any questions, you can reach out to me at andrewheroicmedia.ca or 403-923-6308, or just anything through my website. But yeah, take care and good luck.